Welcome back to We Are Live. Chris Denman, Travis Terrell, the great Chris Gardner producing, and the one and only Dr. Ed. Hit it, Gardner.
Dr. Ed.
Dr. Ed.
Dr. Ed.
The good doctor is in.
I wrote that, by the way.
Did you?
Yep, I wrote it.
Dr. Ed joins from Hillside Animal Hospital. Take your pets there. Support us because he supports us. Support Dr. Ed. That's right, Hillside Animal Hospital. I take my dogs there, which makes Dr. Ed veterinarian to the stars.
Oh, but yes.
Yes.
Congratulations, Dr. Ed.
Yeah. Did you get a certificate for that?
No.
It was like a little Oscar with a little paw on it or something. Like a paw Oscar. Dr. Ed, great to see you. Glad you're here. Did you see Marcelo Zuna fall yesterday?
I saw it on the news this morning, actually. Yeah.
It's real news. It's
Yeah.
out there. Did you happen to see Joe Kelly dying laughing in the Dodgers bullpen?
No.
That was my favorite part. I just wanted to put that out there.
I can see Joe Kelly doing that. Yeah.
I like Joe.
That look at Ozuna was how Travis played left field in softball.
I did not.
That's kind of how it went. He's like, I
Doc-
got it.
Dr.
Ah!
Dr. Ed, does it look like I can't play sports? Huh? Huh? Come on. Come on.
That's racist as hell.
Oh! Dr. Ed knows, man. Go for that. Go for that shot every single time. We've created a monster.
Look, I know. I look what we've done. We've corrupted this great man. What have we done? Gardner, I blame you.
Okay.
Hey.
It looked like how I could play left field these days.
Yeah, I'll be honest. As a guy
was-
who got a major injury from softball once, I couldn't do any better.
That was bad, though.
Yeah, it
I
was
don't think
bad.
you. I don't
No,
think you could do that bad.
What made me mad was him trying. He realized what happened, and he winced like he had hurt himself before it happened, and then he was up back playing again and everything. That was pretty weak.
He was just trying to dig a hole and hide.
Dr. Ed joins us from Hillside Animal Hospital each and every week for Dogs on Film. We'll get into that in a second as we revisit an older Dogs on Film with Sean hanging out on the beach with his stuff last week, and then this
Why are
week.
you a hater, man? You a hater. Why you hating on Sean? Let's see you take a shirt off and take a picture at the beach.
With a Speedo on?
Yeah, or anything on. How about you
Greenpeace would
how about
show
you just
up and
unbutton
try
even
and save
three-
me.
Just unbutton three. There you go.
That
This is what you want to do?
Yeah, yeah.
This is what you want to do
Yeah,
during
yeah,
Dr.
yeah,
Ed's segment?
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
picture
Don't
is
be
now,
talking about my boy Sean. Yeah, let it all hang out.
is now hanging in the restroom of my local watering hole.
Dr. Ed, remember that photo seared into your brain from last week?
No, I just.
Oh, you didn't see it?
I never saw it. They
Okay,
talked
good,
about it.
good. Yeah, it was
Okay, let's
Sean
not-
on a beach in a
make sure we keep that
Speedo.
away from Dr. Ed.
Dr. Ed, before we get into the fun with the trivia.
It's a beach whale. It's like a beach whale in a Speedo. It's just, it's not good. It ain't good at all. I'm just trying to give you a visual because if we had to see it, you should have to visualize
See, he
it.
had the Speedo on, but my favorite part was that he had like the Jackie Onassis glasses on as well.
Not the
As
Jackie.
he was,
Not the Jackie O glasses. Oh God.
he showed a lot of grace
Grace.
in that photo.
That's not the word I would use for that photo.
Yeah, I don't think so. In regards to it's springtime, it's warming up. Occasionally, we allow the man with a veterinary background give real tips and help
Yes, we do.
for free, mind you.
Yes.
His time's worth a lot. Springtime's here. I was out walking the dogs over the weekend. Park was
Bustling.
bustling, which means more dogs around, more everything around, all kinds of crazy stuff happening. What do we need to keep an eye out for now that it's warming up and St. Louis being the pet city that it is? What are we gearing up for with the warm weather?
Well, obviously a heartworm season with the mosquitoes coming. Mosquitoes are going to be coming back. That's real important. It's real easy.
Okay.
Real easy to prevent. Just a monthly chewable or is the most common way to prevent it. Obviously allergies. I mean, us
Oh, boy.
humans are suffering with the allergies, and the pets are going to be too.
Okay.
A lot of itchy dogs out there, and there's some really new things out there that we can do to help them with their allergies.
What about measles? There's a measles outbreak currently in New York City. What should we do to prepare our pets for that?
Nothing.
Okay. All right. Okay.
But believe it or not, we used to use measles vaccines in dogs.
Really?
How does that work?
Well, it's related to the distemper virus. It's in the same family.
Okay.
So, what they used to do is the very first vaccination that puppies used to get used to be a measles vaccine, because obviously dogs do not have antibodies to measles. Okay.
All right.
Because when you vaccinate a puppy, they have maternal antibodies. They get antibodies from their mother from when they first nurse.
Oh.
Okay, colostrum. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes.
Okay, but those don't last. Those aren't their antibodies, they're their mother's. They last about 4 months. But when you vaccinate a dog, we'll say with the distemper vaccination, the body starts to recognize it and starts to produce its own antibodies, but those maternal antibodies also recognize it and attack the vaccine. So you don't get full protection.
Right.
That's why puppies get a series of shots.
Gotcha.
So the theory was vaccinate them with the measles vaccine, which is closely related to distemper virus, and they would hopefully build up some antibodies to that without any maternal interference.
All right.
Okay, and be protected.
Ah.
It's kind of gone out of favor, but it's not done anymore. But that used to be the theory.
Interesting. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Boom.
there's some
Learn stuff. Absorb it. Good.
Okay.
But
got it.
but I have heard a lot on the news lately about a term that we use, and that's herd immunity. Okay.
Okay.
And that's the more people out there, or the more dogs out there that are vaccinated against a disease like parvo or distemper, the less chance that an outbreak's going to occur.
Right.
Okay. So I mean, it's interesting. We use that term all the time in veterinary medicine, and I really hadn't heard it before in human medicine, but it obviously the principle still applies.
Is it frustrating to see people ignore things like science when it comes to these
That
matters?
would be extremely frustrating.
It is. I mean, obviously there's always the possibility that a vaccine reaction will occur, but the products are safe and the products are very effective at preventing this. And
Exactly.
the measles vaccine apparently is one of the most effective vaccines out there.
Right.
Yeah. So it's kind of hard to ignore that in the face of that there might be a reaction.
Might be a reaction.
Yeah. And this whole I haven't heard it lately in relation to this, but the whole over-vaccination causes autism. That's a big crock.
That is what the kids call fake news, Chris.
Yeah.
Jamie Moyer's Fancy Foyer advocates for not vaccinating your dog because it'll cause dogtism.
I see what he did there.
Yeah, I think honestly, it's. I've heard scientific professionals speak about it. I really think Jenny McCarthy did a really, really bad thing by publicizing that movement. I mean that too. I think a lot of dumb people heard it and took it as gospel.
I mean, but not to be an ass here, but if you're taking any advice from Jenny McCarthy on
Correct.
anything,
Yeah.
you're pretty much an idiot. So the ship was already sailed at that point for you. But I don't understand how something that the CDC said all but in 2000 was completely eradicated.
Yeah.
People, like so as you just mentioned, it's an effective vaccination.
Yeah.
So why would you think it wouldn't be?
and I've brought this up before, but I feel for the parents, and not Dred, you mentioned you haven't heard it lately about the vaccines causing autism thing. I feel for the parents that have autistic children. To deal with the people that put that on them in a way. Because I have a friend who has an autistic child who's 6 years old now, and I've seen what they have to deal with and bringing him up differently. And they moved to get him to particular schools, and then to still have to deal with people that put that on science and other things. That's why I always ask him, I go, what I always want to know is how people deal with those people that are in that situation. Because I want to know how they arm themselves with knowledge to, if they have to, push back against that. Like what have they learned? How do they shoot down what is flawed thinking? And that's kind of where I go with him and talking to him about it at times. Because I hate that he has to deal with that. I hate that his wife has to deal with it. And it's ridiculous to do so.
It's just such outside of it being an incredible inconvenience for parents, but it's just very dangerous for people to put other children at risk like that. And that to me is what's probably the most frustrating thing about this. It's like, okay, if you want to do that with your child, then keep your child at home.
Well, that's an issue in the state of Missouri right now. They're trying to pass legislation. There's 3 separate bills, I think, right now that would not necessarily do that.
Oh, wow.
There's in Missouri right now. There are 3 pieces of legislation that are going to basically not do that. That would allow the parents to decide. And one of the representatives doing it, I think, is a pharmacist, and he's one of the people involved in one of these bills. I was just reading about them the other day, and I'm just like, son of a.
We always ask ourselves, though, but we do at the beginning of a horror film or a zombie film, we go, how could this even happen?
Here's
how.
how. Here's how.
Well,
systematically. Oh, okay, I
Let
see.
me tell you about. I saw an advertisement for a movie. It's going to be on TV, and I hate it's probably on Amazon or Netflix or something, and it's called The Hot Zone. Okay.
Okay.
And now I don't know how true to life the movie is yet. I haven't seen it, but it's based on a real event, and it's a book called The Hot Zone, and it's an incredible story. It's about the Ebola virus actually was in Washington D.C.
Oh,
Okay?
wow.
Yeah, there's a primate facility where monkeys used for research, which is I don't want to get into that topic, but
Right.
would be brought into this facility and quarantined and checked out before they would then be sent to whatever laboratory needed monkeys for their research.
Gotcha.
Okay, and this is a true story, and the veterinarian in charge there actually monkeys started dying. Okay, and they could not figure out why, and a veterinarian finally thought this is really suspicious for one of these really bad viruses and called in the proper authorities, and they discovered that the Ebola virus was in that building.
Jeez.
Killing, and they basically abandoned the building. They literally and several people got sick, didn't die. Okay, I don't know if they ever confirmed that the people actually got exposed or not, but they totally abandoned the building. I mean, the humans, the monkeys were still inside, and the Army Veterinary Corps had to come in there in their moon suits, all of that, and systematically, not to be a downer, but
Put 'em down.
Put them down. And I mean, and they
Throw 'em in a
literally-
pond.
It came that close. If that had escaped that building, the Ebola virus would have been in Washington D.C. And I tell the story because it was the veterinarian actually saved the day.
Right.
Was it smart enough to recognize what was going on
And shut things down to
shut
where it's
things down.
contained.
Yeah. But yeah, seriously, the Ebola virus was here in the U.S. and in Washington D.C. of all places.
Jeez.
It's just so crazy to think that we're simultaneously incredibly smart, amazing, technologically advanced folks, and at the same time we'll just leave the door open for something like this stuff to take over. That has to to bring it back to veterinary talk. That, and you just gave the warning to hey, heartworms are super preventable, right?
Yeah.
With that stuff. That has to be super frustrating for you if somebody does the of all things to wave off the heartworm medication getting tossed on the bill, right? Because that's going to be incredibly. You're either going to put your dog down or spend $4,000, $5,000.
No, not quite that. But
If they got heartworms.
yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay.
more like about 800 to 1,000, but
Still.
that's still nice.
Yeah, that's a big
Yeah,
difference.
plus
in
your
cost.
dog could die.
Yeah.
That's obvious. Yeah, we get that all the time. I mean, people who don't want to vaccinate, they there's a push to do vaccination titers to see what your titer is, and,
Right.
but the thing is, nobody knows what a protective titer is,
Right.
how high it needs to be, and immunity is more than just antibody titer. So that's frustrating. The people who go to a PetSmart and listen to the 18-year-old kid about what pet food to feed their
Does that drive you bonkers?
Oh gosh.
He doesn't have time to even get
No.
into it. It just
That
that.
Rachel Ray stuff's good for cats, though, right?
Ah.
Oh boy, what if?
My philosophy on pet food, just real quick, is I something we have this conversation on a daily basis, multiple times, and I tend to, with very few exceptions, I tend to tell people what I know, why I like certain foods, why I think certain foods are really good, rather than tell them why they think their food is bad.
Okay, what if I give you this? Say I wanted to switch up our cat's food, but I need the no corn, wheat, or soy kind of deal or whatever.
My first question would be why?
Why
Why do you need that?
It seems to have helped them not relieving themselves throughout the apartment. So once we made a diet switch, it seemed to help one cat in particular, who was suffering for about a week, and then we took him to a vet, and they're like, let's change the diet here a little bit. And so we did that and went to this kind of diet, and we haven't had that issue. Now, I'd like to keep that status quo.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why we have stuck to that. If we buy treats or we get wet food, I've kind of weaned them off treats lately. After you told me the cat had trained me to get up at 4:30 in the morning, so I'm pushing back a little.
Yeah, you
Doctor,
show them,
and
Gardner.
thank you
Fight the power.
for giving me that confidence. But
Well, my answer to some of those things you said.
Okay.
First of all, I totally agree with you. I don't want to rock the boat. If your cats are doing well on this new food, that's great. But I always tell people, there is absolutely no medical reason, or very, very limited medical reasons why dogs or cats need to be grain free.
okay,
Okay, grains provide a source of carbohydrates, and the food can say that it's grain free. There's still going to be a source of carbohydrates in that food. There has to be. Okay, so it's very, very rare that it's actually the carbohydrates that are causing allergy issues or digestive issues.
okay.
Okay, but again, if the food's working and it solves that issue, I'm not going to tell you to switch. And I always tell people I'm not saying that grain-free foods are bad. Grain-free foods are balanced and nutritious, and they're still okay. But at least in veterinary medicine, it's more marketing than anything else.
Try Frosted Flakes.
Yeah, like why? If this is
Like, why not
why
Frosted
weren't they
Flakes?
doing it 20 years ago? Well, it came around the
Well,
same
I
time.
mean,
People started
Sure.
getting grain free.
Exactly.
And also, if we went away from that, it would help the pocketbook a little bit too. So I'm not against
You're not
that.
opposed to it. Yeah.
Well,
No,
I think there may be other alternatives besides what you're feeding. I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
what brand you're feeding.
It's
We can make some recommendations.
It's been that Rachel Ray
Oh,
chicken and brown
okay.
rice kind of deal because he seemed to like it, and we've had no issues.
And she's just so delightful.
She is delightful. Such a
I don't
nice
know.
woman.
Actually, with their hard food, we don't necessarily stay on the same kind or brand. Even we will mix it up with them, and see. And they like different things, so we've mixed it up with them over time.
I venture if you read your labels on those dry foods that you've been feeding, you'll find some of those things that you thought you were avoiding.
That we're not. That we thought weren't there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
It is interesting what kind of human marketing does to the pets too, because it's
Well, yeah, because
clearly what it
the
is.
pet food companies will tell us at our scientific seminars and that, that just like I said, dogs don't need to be grain free. And yet on their pet food side, they're all about that marketing.
And again, and you even said it 10 times. It's not to say that won't help or that there aren't dogs that would maybe benefit from that type of food, but it's not for the reasons that we're assuming.
Exactly. I always stress, like I said, that it's not. I'm not saying these foods are bad at all, and I'm not bashing the company. I just want to educate the people a little bit. I mean, let's make a decision for the right reason.
From personal experience, the best thing I ever saw was a guy who had unbelievable dogs. They were almost like primitive dogs, because they were for hunting, right? And somehow he'd acquire a few freezers full of deer. Those dogs just ate deer, and then they'd pick up some carbs from other things. You'd see a 14-year-old dog that looked like it was like 9 years old. Now, these are super well taken care of, exercised, running miles every single day. I always just thought that was an interesting part from a nutrition standpoint. I don't know. There's just something to pay attention to, right?
Yeah, I mean, is he feeding just the meat off the the venison, or is he feeding other parts of the deer too? Which could
matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And if they were in the wild, would they just get their carbs from tearing open something and whatever that animal ate, they would eat?
Yep.
Look at me, Travis.
Oh, boy,
Did you learn a little
yeah.
something today?
Oh, let me guess. I mean, Mark Maron talked about.
Oh, please.
Mark Maron had a zoologist
Oh,
on this past
please.
week. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my goodness. You want to do
Corolla had Jack Hanna on.
some Jack Hanna reference? Okay. All right.
But I'm
Hey,
not,
I've
I'm not
had-
good enough, or what? Is that what you're saying?
No, Doctor. You're our Jack Hanna.
Oh,
By the way, start bringing animals by so we can have them participate in dogs on.
I
film.
don't.
Oh,
what?
boy.
Just bring it a Galapagos turtle?
Yeah,
or
just
so-
bring
so
one of
what
those.
is-
Let's have a.
I don't think that's how veterinarian
That's not how it
offices work.
Yeah, they just walk in. I'm like, yo, let me get a couple lizards.
Hey, Dr. Ed, bring in some of those dogs you're trying to give away. Yeah, he's a business, a veterinarian.
I could just-
Hey, shout out to Gateway Pet Guardians.
You want me
since
to
we're,
bring
doing
Ripley by next week?
Yeah, just have them just hang out. Just
Her.
her.
She
Oh.
wobbles.
So she'll just be
Wobbly
able to-
cat.
I was watching her, actually. We opened the windows yesterday. And I put her, she likes to go on the bed, and the bed goes right up against the sill of the bedroom window. She crawled into the sill. I went outside to have a cigarette and looked up, and there she was. Head just kind of shaking as she's looking and listening to the birds, and I just
Let it
couldn't,
wobble,
I
wobble.
could not stop watching her. I was standing there for like 5 minutes smoking, watching her, and she does this thing where she'll sit for a minute and eyes will start going, the lids will get heavy, and she'll scare herself when she's about to fall asleep. But combine that with the wobbles,
Jesus Christ.
and it is an amazing scene where
And she's
it's just like a whole bunch is going on there. So I was just sitting there taking pictures of her.
Couple things before we get to the game. Black Sheep with a comment. Dr. Ed, if grain-free dog food had a Rotten Tomato score, what would it be? Not trying to steer the conversation into anything, just wondering. We'll do dogs on film in just a sec. Couple quick questions. Saw 2 giant owls in my backyard in a very large tree.
Right.
It made sounds when they flew out of it. At what weight? I think all, because there's a Netflix documentary that I think an owl was responsible for a murder because they'll dive bomb people's heads. At what weight do you keep an eye on your pets whenever you know there are owls in the neighborhood?
I think it's got to be like less than 10 pounds. Any little 10-pound little dog, or
I kind of want an owl. I like owls, but I kind of want an owl to try and scrap with one of my dogs just because it would be funny.
I think
Is
it's
that
more-
barbaric of
I
me?
think that's more the hawks.
Hawks?
Yeah.
Owls are
actually-
mean, man.
we
They
actually-
rip from the anus.
We actually had a little dog, and it got picked up.
Ah,
by a
no!
hawk.
This
Yeah.
isn't funny anymore.
But it got away. But it had the characteristic scrapes from the talons on
Your
on the sides
your
of its body.
personal small dog was
No,
picked
no,
up?
no. A client's dog.
It got picked up? How
Yeah.
high up in the air did it get?
It didn't get very. I think the owner actually had the leash in his hand still. And
Oh
and
my
and
gosh.
Yanked it out of the hawk's talons.
That's horrific.
Yeah, I mean,
Travis.
it wasn't seriously hurt, but I mean, it had some good injuries.
Can I get a nature you scary?
I told y'all about the hawk. I told y'all.
You've
I've
been
tell-
warning us
I've been
for
telling
years.
y'all about the hawk for years. Y'all just been laughing. Oh, yeah, sure, Travis. That's why you can't make it in. That's why you're late. Oh, okay, Travis. All right. Now
we're gonna die!
Yep. A few 8-pound puppies get taken. All of a sudden, now Travis looks
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park.
I got a picture actually of 2 hawks sitting on a lamppost in our neighborhood, sitting together.
Really?
Splitting someone's cat?
No. Surveying the situation.
Man, they do. If you see them kind of walking, and these park owls and hawks, like they're kind of, these are the badass ones because that's like perfect because out in the country you got more stuff to worry about,
Right.
scarcities. These squirrels living in Tower Grove Park, I mean, they have backpacks and suitcases. They're just living fat because there's no other predators around.
We go down to Memphis obviously a lot to see my daughter down there in school, and on 55, I get a kick. I mean, I drive my wife crazy because I'll count the number of hawks that I see on the side of the highway.
High five, Dr. Ed.
Yeah,
I'm a guy who watches for groundhogs.
Yeah, and they sit up there in the trees, especially when there's no, in the fall when there's no leaves. But,
John Beebe from By Jack, everybody.
and what they'll do is, believe it or not, they're in there and they're looking for mice in the grass in the median and on the sides of the highways. And from sitting up in those trees off the highway, they can actually see the little mice in the grass.
Yeah,
That's insane.
They're everywhere.
Their eyesight is just incredible.
I did that on the way to Omaha one time. I counted every damn hawk I saw.
Yeah.
They're a hawk.
Yeah, there it is. Second one, I've been throwing pecans to this giant squirrel in my backyard. Is this bad?
I don't know.
Should I stop?
Stop. What are you doing?
He's showing up now like,
Why are you feeding other varmints?
he's a big squirrel. He needs to eat.
Apparently, do you just
Chris Denman. He's got a sassy black squirrel host.
Just fattening them up for his dogs to catch.
See, that's the problem.
Like
If
a
you
fallout?
forget when you go down to let him out and he's down there.
It's all right. At some point, this squirrel will be telling us how many belt loops he's lost.
Oh,
Yeah.
look at me. Look,
Yeah,
look
he's
at
going to
me.
get on the keto diet.
This little white man down in Tower Grove been feeding me pecans. look at me, fellas. I'm gonna be dunking in July.
Our friend from a really natural pet food company has commented, "I'm bringing in more samples now, right?" Shout out to Lynette. Do you want to do some dogs on film? Shout out to By Jack's owner John, who's 10 feet behind us, who could make us coffee cups like today if we asked that we haven't taken care of yet. He brought in the pen and paper for our game. You want to play, Gardner?
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it.
It's time for Dogs.
You don't have to do that.
I do. On film. Hey, Levi. I was saying hi to Levi. He is the dog of the house. And like literally we go to our segment and Levi comes through the door. He knows time.
You know we're on camera, right? People can see if you're lying.
I'm not lying. There is a dog that we have in the office.
Okay, all right.
We can't see it because of the camera angles. We ain't that rich.
All right, dogs on film. Gardner, we're doing what's the deal today?
We're revisiting an old one.
Oh.
I had some scheduling issues with Sean this week trying to catch up with him because he's back in town from Key Biscayne.
Oh, nice.
Had a nice trip down there, but as we all saw last week with a picture. So I wanted to maybe take the time to look back at the first time Sean described movies. It's not as outlandish as what we have gotten it to be. It's a little more straightforward, but there's still some stumbling, some grumbling, and some other sounds involved. But I thought, hey, let's take a look back. September 18th of 2018 was the first time.
Oh, wow.
Long
First
ago,
time
yes.
Sean read movies for us.
Really?
First time
Descriptions.
Dr. Ed would have rather been doing the worst part of his job rather than hanging out at the front.
We didn't know a lot about Sean at that point.
We
We've
did
learned
not.
more as
We
we
did.
Mysterious
go on.
fellow,
Yeah, he
our
was.
narrator for this.
But it was right after I got back from Chicago, a trip from Chicago.
You visited the serial killer's home.
I did. Well, it's not a home anymore.
Oh,
It
boy.
is. H.H. Holmes was the serial killer. It is now a post office in Inglewood, Chicago, which I found out later is basically the worst neighborhood in Chicago.
Gotcha.
I didn't realize that until we got there.
It's a good thing your peculiar look and long hair wouldn't make you stand out in such a neighborhood.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Your Arcade Fire T-shirt.
It was interesting. It was interesting.
It's the first time an Arcade
It
Fire
was touch
T-shirt
and go
had
there
ever
for
been
a
on
little
that
while.
block.
Touch and go there for a little while. But all these movies are Chicago themed. The tiebreaker, if we get to it,
Okay.
and I will say this just for those that don't know, it's 6 movies, one movie against another. We have 3 sets of movies. You guess the Rotten Tomatoes score, 1-on-1. If you get it right, you get
Loser
a point.
gets euthanized at Hillside
We
Animal
have
Hospital.
elevated the game now.
I ain't paying for that.
Are vaccinated. I mean, one or the other.
Or that. Which
Question-
one does which?
Question from our friend Amber Clear. I also visited that. Have you read Devil in the White City, Gardner?
I have not read it.
If y'all get on this, boy, I swear.
Jess,
sorry, we're not talking Tiffany Haddish and Magic Johnson.
Jess has read it, so I'm very well aware of it.
Okay.
Haven't gotten that far, but I think I would like to.
Nerds!
It's a hobby you share with your wife.
My girlfriend.
Girlfriend?
We,
Yeah.
That's
we,
even-
thanks for
that's
clarifying.
That's even worse.
Yeah,
I share
you're
a
worse.
hobby with my girlfriend.
That would worry me. Like if your significant other is reading
Nerds.
these kind of things, you're like, you're going to be skilled.
she
at
likes
this.
true crime stuff.
I bet she
Has
does.
a fascination
say
with
it
some
like
of the
that.
serial killer stuff. We do go on ghost tours together. We do that, Doctor.
Doing the John Wayne Gacy bus tour, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan Singer performing April 22nd. We're doing his 2 tickets for Fair or Foul Prize today. He is big into the paranormal and does a podcast based on such things.
Oh, we'll have to chat.
And directed X-Man Last Stand.
That's Brian Singer,
Oh,
and he's
boy.
a problematic
Okay,
person.
All right, my bad.
So we have Chicago-themed movies today, and we have a tiebreaker if needed for the 7th one. That is not only Chicago-themed. I was looking for something else, but is also tax-themed because we have Tax Day coming up.
Yes,
We
do.
don't have a reading for that one. I'm just going to simply give you the name of the movie, and you have to guess if we get to that point.
Okay.
All right?
Here we go.
So here we go with your first movie for today. Remember, these are all Chicago-themed movies as we go back and revisit.
Time for Dogs on Film.
No one
High
asked you
Fidelity,
to do that.
2000, drama romance, 1 hour for 54 minutes. And I can't see it. I'm gonna have to start
You're
over.
new,
I'm gonna get my glasses.
Sean does a little day weekend.
Those women's
7
glasses?
days a week.
Scene 1, Apple, take 2.
Rob Gordon, John Cusack, is the owner of a failing record store in Chicago, where he sells music the old-fashioned way, on vinyl. Although they have an encyclopedic knowledge of pop music and are consumed by the music scene, it's of no help to Rob, who needles skips the love groove when his longtime girlfriend Laura walks out on him. As he examines his failed attempts at romance and happiness, the process finds him being dragged, kicking and screaming into
Jolie
adulthood.
All right, there's your first one.
Okay.
High Fidelity going against.
What are you drinking?
A little pick me up.
And what?
Powerade and 5-Hour Energy. Are we ready?
Yep.
The Fugitive, 1993, a crime thriller, 2 hours and 10 minutes. Wrongfully accused of murdering his wife, Richard Kimball, Harrison Ford, escapes from the law in an attempt to find her killer and clear his name. Pursuing him is a team of U.S. Marshals led by deputies Samuel Gerard, Tommy Lee Jones, a determined detective who will not rest until Richard is captured. As Richard leads the team through a series of intricate chases, he discovers the secrets behind his wife's death and struggles to expose the killer before it's too late. Also, look for Tom Simmons as the tough Chicago cop with the broken nose. He's a Central West Ender.
Oh, okay.
So we have The Fugitive versus High Fidelity. The Fugitive versus High Fidelity.
I didn't murder my wife.
I don't care.
I was waiting for it.
Thank you. Dude, just go to court, man. There's a process to these things.
Instead, I'm going to jump off a waterfall.
Look, man, you had a wealthy occupation. You could probably afford a nice attorney. Yeah. Leave it to the courts. Why wasn't that a line?
This was in Chicago. R. Kelly is not in jail right now.
The founding fathers set this up so you can prove you're innocent.
It's Chicago. You could probably buy a judge.
I got 3 myself.
I am going with The Fugitive.
Fugitive for Travis.
Does anybody remember? Be honest. I don't remember doing this at all.
I sort of kind of remember, but not really.
All right, High Fidelity versus The Fugitive. I'm going High Fidelity.
Yeah, I got to go High Fidelity.
The Fugitive, it's a very well-liked film, right? I haven't seen it forever.
It was entertaining.
It was very entertaining. I loved it.
All right. Dr. Ed and Chris go with High Fidelity. Will they get the right or the wrong bark? So, High Fidelity.
Damn it.
A 91.
Wow. I don't want to get euthanized.
The Fugitive, 96.
Ooh, doctor.
Do you agree with the 96?
No,
I would have got that Dr. Ed look
there
either
Camera 3.
Yeah,
Dr. Ed's upset.
Dr. Ed,
Hold on
get
one
him.
second.
Here we go.
Now, Dr. Ed,
This is the camera 3. There you go.
why is this not worthy of a 96?
Oh, come on. A 96. I mean,
What do you think, 77?
yeah, 77, 80, 82, in that range.
Okay.
96 is pretty high, but it's a
Yeah.
good movie.
He
It's a really intense movie.
jumped off a waterfall.
He did jump off a waterfall after someone said, I don't care.
Okay.
All right. You ready for your next one?
Let's do it.
Your next pairing. These are all Chicago themed, in or around Chicago. They're set.
Okay.
Here is your first for the second pairing.
Sorry, I've got a cold. Mean
Thanks for
Girls,
leaving that in.
2004. It's a team film comedy, 1 hour and 37 minutes. Teenage Katie Heron, Lindsay Lohan, was educated in Africa by her scientist parents. When her family moves to the suburbs of Illinois, some say well met, Katie finally gets to experience public school and gets a quick primer on the cruel. Tactic laws of popularity that divide... Tacit laws of popularity that divide her fellow students.
Try that one more time.
Scene 1, Apple, take
3.
Katie finally gets to experience public school and gets a quick primer on the cruel, tacit laws of popularity that divide her fellow students into tightly knit cliques. She unwittingly finds herself in a good grace of an elite group of cool students dubbed the Plastics. But Katie soon realizes how her shallow group of new friends earned it this nickname.
All right. Mean Girls is the first one.
Were you in a cool group in school?
I was in all the groups.
Okay.
You could say I was a groupie.
Let's go to the next movie.
Okay.
Here is Mean Girls is going against.
The Untouchables, 1987. Drama, crime, 2 hours. After building an empire with bootleg alcohol, legendary crime boss Al Capone, Robert De Niro, rules Chicago with an iron fist. Though prohibition against Agent Elliot Ness, Kevin Costner, attempts to take Capone down, even his best efforts fail due to widespread corruption within the Windy City's police force, recruiting an elite group of lawmen who won't be swayed by bribes or fear, including Irish-American cop Jimmy Malone, Sean Connery. Ness renews his determination to bring Capone to justice.
Jimmy Malone.
All right, it's Mean Girls versus The Untouchables.
Can
Chris,
I say this?
go for oh, okay, Travis.
No, I just want to say The Untouchables, one of the most overrated movies of all time.
Why is that?
It is. It was one. It's not
Good
even
follow
close
up.
to being accurate. Not even close to being accurate. And then the performances.
Did they say it's supposed to be?
I didn't say to, but you implied.
Well,
It's the Chicago way.
That's the Chicago way. Sean Connery, what accent are you using in this movie? He couldn't decide what he wanted to go with in this film.
I wish we
You
had
gonna
the
do
drop of him
Bond?
telling Barbara Streisand that sometimes you got to slap a woman when she speaks up too much. That's not funny.
They put one of yours in the hospital. Put one of theirs in the grave.
It wasn't good, man. You gonna tell me y'all gonna really convince me the scene of the baby carriage going down the steps and the shootout? And that,
Yeah, but that gave us the famous scene in Naked Gun, though. So I'm very happy for
Good
that.
point. Good point.
that's also
Leslie Nielsen.
That's a good point. Yeah, you got me there.
What
What are you going with, Chris?
Anna Nicole Smith was in one of those Naked Gun
Oh,
movies.
for the love of God. This movie. These two movies, man.
Prime
These
Anna
two
Nicole.
movies.
Prime Anna Nicole.
Listen here, man. What do you have?
You would have loved to have been that old man.
Listen, what would you... Why do y'all
Take
let
my billions.
Why do y'all let him go on?
I get to I get to be silly once in a
All
while.
right, so who do you have as a movie?
I gotta go Mean Girls, and I don't think it's even gonna be close.
I'm going Mean Girls as well.
I'm gonna buck the trend. I think I should have gone on web and seen this episode before, but I'm gonna go with Untouchables.
All right.
I'm gonna regret it. I bet.
Mean Girls for Chris and Travis.
Yeah, dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, dog.
All right.
With Dr. Ed.
Visibly upset. This man is patient. He's done surgeries on animals. He's a valued member of the community. We have shook him. We have shook him.
When Sean started reading this might have been around the time when I started noticing
Yeah,
Dr.
Dr.
Ed.
Ed getting visibly upset at
Yeah,
the Rotten
and then he would
Tomatoes.
start yelling at me.
Damn it, Gardner!
This is ridiculous. So, the
man.
scores
Oh, boy.
for those two. The Untouchables, 81. Mean Girls, 83.
Yeah, those are accurate.
So it was close.
Those are
It was
accurate.
close. All right.
Mean Girls is very good.
Your final pairing. You ready for your final pairing?
C.
What's our tally right now?
2-1-0.
Okay, don't rub it in his face.
Now, what
okay?
I'm just saying. Look, Dr. Ed
Hey,
kicked our ass last week, so I don't know. He was happy. He was walking out of here with champagne and everything. I don't know about that.
I didn't win last week, did I?
I thought
I think
you
I
did.
did.
Oh, okay. Ugh.
I'm on a losing streak.
All right, here we go. Your final
I'm
pairing.
0 for 49. Chris Davis. Chris Davis.
Oh no! Poor Chris Davis from KSDK has been getting hate on Twitter because people think he's Chris Davis for the Orioles.
That's not the same Chris Davis.
He's like, I'm freckled with red hair. Like, I don't know what you want from me.
And I've contributed now.
Yeah.
I've been helping that along. Okay, here's your first one of the final pairing.
Ready?
Yeah.
Barbershop, 2002.
Yeah.
Drama comedy, 1 hour, 42 minutes. A smart comedy about a day in the life of a barbershop on the south side of Chicago. Calvin, Ice Cube, who inherited the struggling business from his deceased father, views the shop as nothing but a burden and a waste of his time. After selling the shop to a local loan shark, Calvin slowly begins to see his father's vision and legacy and struggles with the notion that he's just sold it out. I didn't like that last line.
I agree with you there, Sean.
All right. It was Barbershop.
Right.
Barbershop going against. It's hot up.
I know, the air conditioner broke. Primal Fear, 1996. Thriller, drama, 2 hours, 10 minutes. Defense attorney Martin Vale, Richard Gere, takes on jobs for money and prestige rather than any sense of the greater good. His latest cases involved an altar boy, Edward Newman,
Norton.
Norton,
Scene 1, Apple take
4.
Edward Norton, accused of brutally murdering the Archbishop of Chicago. Vale finds himself up against his ex-pupil and ex-lover. But as the case progresses and the church's dark secrets are revealed, Vale finds that what appears a simple case takes on a darker, more dangerous aspect.
All right. Primal Fear versus Barbershop.
I gotta go Primal Fear. That movie had such a great twist.
Yeah, it did.
Trev?
Yeah, that was a phenomenal film. I'm
Yeah,
going
he
Primal
should have won an Oscar for that.
Yeah, that's when Ed Norton's jumped on the scene. I'm going Primal Fear as well.
I'm going Barbershop to give myself a chance.
All right, here we go.
Chris is trying
And
to
because it's my favorite film.
give himself.
What up, y'all? Snip, snip.
That is not even in the
That means
movie.
if Dr. Ed
That's
says
not
that,
even
that
in the
means
movie.
something way different.
Yeah.
Whole Pluto is like, oh no, man. Sorry, go ahead.
Pluto.
Vasectomy
Not
doctors
Mickey's
do?
dog. Why Mickey's dog?
All right. For a chance at a tiebreaker for Mr. Denman,
Yeah, dog. Yeah, dog.
What?
outta here.
Shut your face!
Rotten Tomatoes
It's right there.
has Barbershop at an 82. Primal Fear at 75.
Oh, that's a crime. That's a crime. Are you kidding me?
Tiebreaker time.
We have a tiebreaker, and we don't have a description for this one.
Call me Virginia, and you're about to get tacked. They went to overtime. It worked. It wasn't bad. It was bad, but it
I
was.
see
It
what he
worked.
did there. Oh, he tried.
Did you see the national title game, Dr. Ed?
I saw the first half and then I would pass out.
Yeah. I was asleep before the first half.
Yeah, the first half ended at 10:30. So I don't
Dr.
blame
Ed
him.
is not looking happy at me. I'm afraid
He's
to look
mad.
at
He's
him,
not-
actually.
he's mad as
Yeah.
a badger.
Here's your tiebreaker. No description. I'm just going to give you the movie.
Okay.
It is Chicago themed,
Okay.
and it has a tax thing.
Ooh.
The tax thing
Taxes
to
in
it
Chicago. No
is
way.
there were two brothers that were trying to raise money to save an orphanage
ERS?
that they had
Blues Brothers.
grown up in. The Blues Brothers.
Okay.
The Blues
All
Brothers.
right, write it down. Let's write it down. So for the tiebreaker closest to the number,
Yes.
we have to guess what we think it's rated.
Yes.
Blues Brothers, the Chicagoiest movie of all time.
Yes. It also has a tax thing with Tax Day coming up.
Rotten Tomatoes.
I'm gonna guess something, but I'm gonna say
Let's
I'm
go
not
with
confident.
let's go with Dr. Ed first.
Playing
Dr.
for
Ed,
glory.
80.
80. Travis,
Not that my score matters in the least, but
I'm going 91.
91 for Travis.
I went 88.
88 for Mr. Denman.
I swear to God, if it's lower than any of ours scores, then I'll shut down Rotten Tomatoes.
Thank you.
Like, it is a beloved film.
Uh-oh.
Well, if we would have got Dr. Ed in this tiebreaker, he would have won.
Oh.
It's an 83. 83.
Gotta come back.
But Mr. Denman wins with the 88. Travis, a little too high with the 91.
Yeah, I think I went.
I'd
too-
like to
Travis, a little
donate.
too high. I just realized I said that.
Yeah,
I'd like to donate my victory to Hillside Animal Hospital
Oh,
and
nice,
all the great
man.
work that they've
Nice,
done with Gateway
nice.
Pet Guardians.
I don't need your charity.
Oh, he is smarting. He is smarting.
Walnuts. That's right. This is for you.
What? Is that a bird?
Mm-hmm. Wow, that feels good. That's 2 in a row.
Yeah. I can't believe I let you go.
Overtime.
I can't. We went to overtime. 3-0 run.
Hey, shout out to Buy Jack's owner, John, for bringing in our...
Thanks, John.
That was so great. Dr. Ed, you can see him at Hillside Animal Hospital. He's there performing 5 days per week.
Nice. I see what you did there.
That's right. He's
He's featuring,
there.
is he?
He is. He is. And Dr. Ed, he's not afraid of a good one-liner. He brings his jokes. It's
He
a good
does
time.
indeed.
Cannot recommend them enough. I've got to bring my dog in for an allergy shot soon. That's been working out great. Get your dogs vaccinated. Get your cats taken care of. Cannot say enough good things about the work that they continue to do. They are the guy's on a podcast once a week and goes after, like, their Facebook's great, everything else. So let's give a big round of applause to Hillside and Dr. Ed and all the great staff at Hillside Animal Hospital. So anything we didn't know about before you get out of here?
Yeah, Gateway actually is having an open house.
Oh,
this
great.
Saturday at their new building.
That's exciting.
Oh, nice.
Saturday, it's from 1 to 3. It's on 15th Avenue and St. Clair Avenue. It's real easy to get to. It's right where the 64 splits off. You go on the east side. It's the very first exit, which is St. Clair Avenue.
Right.
You just get right off the exit, make a right turn, and that building is right there. So It's really exciting. It's going to be great. I was there all last week helping them clean it up.
It's amazing, and it's a community center as well.
Well, yeah, it's going to be. I mean, obviously, the construction phase hasn't started yet, but it's going to be a shelter, clinic eventually, community center, pet food pantry, all of that.
How does that work when you have that much space? I was wondering this as you see it, and as St. Louis continues to do great work. There's rescues all over the place. How does that work as they scale up? Volunteers scale up, and then obviously I know people raise money for you to perform a surgery or whatever. How does it work? Where do they just keep a staff of not volunteer doctors, of doctors available, and they just go, hey, here, got another 5 dogs that need worked on, schedule them in? Is that how that works?
Oh, I mean, I think it's all
Because you can't, if they have 300 dogs there, you're thinking, you're not, I mean, with your other load and all the other doctors at your place, like, there's got to be some crazy scheduling.
Well,
right?
it's all told to be determined. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the first priority is getting the shelter up and running.
Right. I was going to say, if you have that giant space and you still, I don't know, it's just an interesting.
Oh yeah,
overtaking.
there's space. There's actually a gymnasium in the building that they're going to use for like events.
No kidding.
Yeah, with an.
You want to go dunk on some dogs, Travis?
I mean, that's rude.
Oh man. No, that's perfect. You can do all kinds of stuff in a facility like that. Well, keep up the great work. Thanks for your support of us and Gateway Pet Guardians. Visit Hillside Animal Hospital's Facebook page. That's what I say. They keep everybody updated. There's always fun pictures of the doggies and kitties that come by. So again, Hillside Animal Hospital, big thanks to Dr. Ed. We'll let him get out of here. We'll do some fair or foul. Get those in. We'll bring you back. The topic today, Travis? Doubling the tax on your bill to determine the tip amount. WAL at weareliveradio.com is who you email. You can win 2 tickets to Ryan Singer right here in St. Louis as your prize. Dr. Ed, thanks for coming in, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
Take care, Dr. Ed.
We are live, live, live. We are live, live, live. We are live, live, live. We are live.
We're live, and it's time for Fair or Foul. Big thanks to Dr. Ed from Hillside Animal Hospital. You know what? Also, big thanks to Getaway Golf Carts, Travis.
Yeah?
We have a golf cart sponsor.
Getaway golf carts. When you're zooming through the city, zoom, zoom.
GetawayCarts.com. They're part of the Carte Blanche movement, and they let you customize your carts any way you like. Just a quick note, just got to say big shout out to them. They are located over, you know where they're at, Travis?
Where are they, Chris?
Conveniently located near 55, right there in the Cherokee-Soulard area.
Wee!
Cannot say enough good things about them. Thanks to another great small business for being a part of the show. Support them because they support us, whether you're working at your business and you're needing a new fleet, or maybe you're just looking for something to scoot around your neighborhood in the city, the county, wherever you're at. GetawayCarts.com. They'll customize. Just go check out the website. You'll see all their wonderful capabilities. Can't say enough good things about them. And the trust they put in our audience to support them.
Word to that.
See, you put it on the
I
audience.
see what you
now.
did there.
Yeah.
Well done.
Trav, you want to do some fair or foul?
Chris, it's time for the People's Fair. And so I was thinking, I don't know what I want to get for lunch later.
What would you do?
About getting a sub sandwich.
You still got
I mean,
that
I may
sodium
go to
issue?
Crave Case. I'm not even sure, but the sodium may act right.
Thought you were talking about getting rid of that gut.
Or foul.
At this defining moment, change has come to America.
People often ask me, what's fair or foul? Is it a segment?
Gardner shaking
Is it
his
a
head.
movement? Is it hope? I can't say for certain. Time will be a true test of its power.
He's got that
But I
itch.
can say, fair or foul is now and
Got
forever
itches?
for the people. Gather around the radio with your loved ones and hold on to your butts. It's now time for fair
We give it back to you, the people.
or foul.
Chris cheated. I can't believe he won that. I think he knew
2 weeks in a row.
the answer.
Oh, you think I went back and listened
Yeah, I
to the
think he went
podcast?
back and listened to the pod.
Classic Denman.
Yeah.
Guys, we asked you a very intriguing question about fair or foul. Winner gets 2 tickets to see Ryan Singer live at the Kransberger Arts Center studio.
And director of X-Men Apocalypse.
No!
Okay.
Doubling the tax bill on your bill to determine the tip amount. Wall at weareliveradio.com is where they emailed. You want to get to it? Here we go. Our first submission. Foul. That is like measuring your Johnson by starting at your belly button. It's a stupid idea that still leaves you with a small dinger.
Jesus.
From Cankles.
Good God, man.
Foul. I try to do at least 20% when at restaurants, even though in my business I rarely get tips. I'm not mad about it, but one time I did get a tip from one of my students that I'll never forget.
What? What could it be?
He jumped into the pool wearing a WAL thong, W-A-L thong. Is that We Are Alive?
Ooh.
Does ByJack make WAL thongs?
Oh, they do now.
With high top Jordans?
Huh.
Okay. Hey, why you got him in the pool? Those are Jordans. After the lesson, he was walking into the locker room, and like the old commercial with me and Joe Green, he snapped off that thong and tossed it at me. Great moment, right? The problem was my mouth was open, and I ended up with pink eye.
Oh,
This explains it.
this
It's
is
from Travis's swim coach.
That's a lot.
that's a lot going on. In that email. I don't know why we went.
Did you,
there.
when you have a swim coach, do you sign a disclosure agreement?
Yeah, I have a waiver.
Oh, okay. Waiver pool. Waiver.
That's funny.
Oh, Rogan was talking about pools the other day
Oh
on his
my
podcast.
God!
and,
Kill that thought.
You know about this chlorine conspiracy?
the chlorine, man, man, get chlorine in your system.
Oh. Just bowed up a little bit.
What? It's not true.
There was a sniff.
There
in
was
there.
a sniff. There was
Ooh,
a
the
sniff in
nose
there.
twitch, maybe
It
a
was a
little.
sniff.
I started biting my lip a little. Okay. Huh. Got me off my game.
Yeah, good one.
Foul. I'm trying to come up with something witty and hilarious, but every time I think about this, my blood starts boiling. Instead, the following is the rantings of an embittered former math teacher still working in education. Please feel free to not read this craziness.
Oh, yeah.
No, this is delightful.
Forced curriculum causing students to be taught math that they won't ever use in life. When was the last time any of you solved a system of equations or found the zeros of a quadratic equation? That keeps them from learning math they will need for life. Drives me nuts. So now we have people who don't understand place value and don't understand moving decimal points and doubling values to figure out tips. Forget trying to pay for something with cash and expecting change to be counted back correctly. Except QT, the change game is on point at QT. Opening day, my friend bought a bag of peanuts for $5.25 at the cards game, gave the kid a 20, and ended up tipping the kid $4.75 because he couldn't figure out the change. That's from the Triangle Assassin.
I want to take that email and I want
Send it to Jeff City.
and frame it, and I want it hung up in our office today.
Okay, maybe we'll start doing that. We'll start hanging up the winning emails. In the
Yeah.
office. Yeah.
I want that framed, and I want that hung up somewhere in the studio, the office, the bathrooms. I don't care. That was gold.
That was Sesame Street level.
That was
writing.
that. That was, hey, I may put you on my writing team. That was that
I
good.
hear quadratic in there.
I
Yeah,
didn't
that was
think I'd ever
brilliant.
laugh so hard.
Because it was
decimal points.
not only was it hilarious, it's also the most accurate thing anyone has sent into our show.
It's disturbing.
From a man who failed college algebra 3 times.
Oh, boy.
I concur, sir.
Oh boy.
I concur.
Oh boy, this is embarrassing. We're signing up for Trig my sophomore year of high school. Just an hour in, I'm like,
You should see the line outside the math building at Mizzou 3 weeks before the semester's over with. People are like bringing gift baskets, money.
Do you know how many hot babes we got to go to school with at Columbia College because they wouldn't take math at Mizzou?
That's what happened.
They'd be like, hey, try this one out.
That's what I did. I had to take it at
Yeah.
Columbia College. I was like, oh, this is where the hotties hanging out.
Yeah,
okay.
right? Anytime a cool-looking person would walk in, I'm like, whoa, what are you doing
hey,
here?
hey, I didn't expect
This college
attractive
is-
people here.
This college is smaller than my high school. I think I would have known you by now. Oh, man, cool Jordans. You from Mizzou? Foul. Whoever was proposing this as a way to save money has obviously never been to St. Louis and experienced special taxing districts on top of special taxing districts. You end up at 25% in certain areas of the city. This is why we need hashtag screaming bloody merger.
Yes.
I need to be able to double the tax and keep that under 15% because I'm here for service, not sports upstate that I can get on my phone. The JVL Jackal.
Is that a shot at me and my sport? I provided adequate sports updates for my customers.
I can't even sigh. Is Jeff coming up with the fair foul topics again? Love Jeff.
What do you think of
Soup.
raisin bagels? Fair or foul?
I'll just end this with a bless your heart, Gardner. I believe that's what they say down Denman's way. TT's, pink eye. One more. Foul, it's crazy how some people try to pay wait staff. Heard a certain Hooters manager was always offering to give his waitresses just the tip. Winner gets 2 tickets to see Ryan Singer Monday, April 22nd. Tickets available through MetroTix. Get those tickets. It's a small room. It's going to sell out. It's going to be a lot of fun. What do you have, Gardner? Tell me right after I tell you about St. Louis Counseling Services. Is that all right? You like that? Yeah. Let you little tease there.
That was good.
I
Got
gotta
it.
take another breath now.
St. Louis Counseling Services supports healing and improved mental health for families and children of all backgrounds through professional counseling and psychiatric services. St. Louis Counseling operates 8 offices throughout the STL area, in addition to school partnership programs and more. St. Louis Counseling is the employee assistance program mental health care provider for the Archdiocese of St. Louis. They also help individuals and your businesses. Hit up St. Louis Counseling and listen to Mental Health Matters with Tom Duff. They're going to be in here Thursday recording with local musician John Henry. That'll be a good one. Very informative, very, very great partner of ours in St. Louis Counseling and Mental Health Matters. Gardner, your vote for fair or foul?
Triangle Assassin.
Okay.
I'm going with the Assassin of Triangles.
Triangle Assassin has won 2 tickets to Ryan Singer at the Kransberg Arts Foundation studio. It's going to be a very good time. Congrats to those. Man, can you even believe the scale of emails today? We had taxation districts, quadratic somethings.
That was pretty intense.
Our boy Sean says he failed college algebra 3 times also, Trav. F finding X. Oh, it was fantastic. Congrats to our winner, and you get those tickets. Just hit us up, and we'll make sure you enjoy the show. Travis, anything else for the people? Gardner, you got anything you need to announce? Anything about Wobbly Cat or other?
Hey, man, leave Ripley
Any
alone,
ghosts?
man. You
Any
always come after
ghosts?
Ripley. Leave Ripley alone, man.
Hey, science is pretty cool. They have a picture out of a black hole now.
I saw that.
Oh, boy.
See it?
Oh, yeah.
You could just hear one thing.
Oh, boy.
Murph!
I blame you for that one.
Murph!
He took the opportunity.
Murph! Murph!
See? Told you.
I love that movie so much.
I told you.
It's that Hans Zimmer
I see.
background.
He
Oh,
does this
yeah.
every time.
It's soothing to me.
What did you think of the lights?
Zimmer is really good.
What did you think of the lighting?
Brought tears to my eyes when he's realizing he's missed his whole life.
Yeah.
Murph! When John Lithgow stops showing up in the camera transmissions, you have to do the math on that one. When Casey Affleck's pushing a little too hard in the cornfield, it's a great film.
It was a pretty heavy movie.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Nolan knows what he's doing. Is that the end of the show? Are we done here?
I'm tired of talking.
Okay.
I'm thinking about other stuff.
All right. I want to give a special thanks to Tech Electronics for providing us with this amazing equipment that you currently see here. I'm so proud of this studio, and I'm so proud of your support. For Chris Denman, for Chris Gardner, I'm Travis Terrell. This has been We Are Live.
Peace.
Yeah.